Good morning, everyone. This is Eric Silvermoon, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about my experiences in learning the process of runes, or excuse me, the runic alphabet or divination method. Um, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I've been researching the alphabet and researching how to kind of read it, and I realized that some of the stuff that wasn't making sense, or I just didn't wasn't resonating with what the actual symbol was, and so I kind of started making my own list of what I think um, this symbol would mean. And so one of the helpful tools that I've always used when it comes to studying is the amazing index cards. And so these help me out a lot. I used it when I was in school. Excuse me, I have some coffee. My superhero mug. But so I used it. So what I did was I cut the index card in half. I wrote the symbol in the name, and the name I don't think I'm going to use. I don't think I'm going to reference to the name, so I'm not worried about memorizing the name. Um, what I'm going to do is just look at the symbol and see how what I feel that meaning of that symbol is. And on the other side, I wrote what I feel the symbol means, which I think the symbol for this one, which is, and I'm going to butcher the names, but I think it's Tawaz. But what I see is something going up, kind of coming from the ground and moving up. So I felt that it represented some kind of ascension. And so I wrote knowing, moving up, leadership, development and growth. The reverse side, which of course will be coming down, I put descending, failures, fears, unwillingness to grow, and negativity. And again, these are my own personal thoughts of what this symbol might mean. I highly recommend um, doing your own research, studying, writing a list of what you guys think might work for you. For me, it's I kind of use my intuition. I light my working candle. I just kind of sit. I sit with the image, and um, I kind of just go from there. So that was this symbol here that I was talking about. So I'm going to go through all of them because there's only 24. And then I will, on the next video that I'll make, I'll kind of share with you how I'm going to use the runes in my readings. I have some here. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous tiger's eye runes. They have like the nice symbol, the plain smooth surface. They're just so beautiful. And I've always liked tiger's eye, but I haven't resonated with these. So I haven't really used them. And I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I feel really guided to work with runes, but I don't think I want to use these. And I dedicated my 2015 year to a crystal that I've been working a lot with, especially when it comes to my angels and my archangels. It's a huge stone or crystal for protection for me. And so I dedicated hematite for this year. And my friend texted me and he's all like, hey, have you ever used runes? And I was like, yeah, I'm actually just starting to learn, coincidentally. So he's all like, well, I have some that I was going to toss. I don't know if you want them. I was like, what? Don't toss them. Let me look at them. I'll tell you if they're good. And they're hematite runes. And I was like, shut up. I was like, you need to give those to me. So I'm gonna end up going to his salon because he actually he owns his own salon, and I'm gonna get my hair done because it's getting kind of long. And he's gonna go ahead and gift them to me. And so in exchange, I asked my team, I was like, hey, what could I do to give them something in return for this exchange, this gift? And And all I got was just give him a gift from the angels. And so I have a couple angel books that I think I want to give him. I hope that that brings some light. So back to the rune part, but so the other card that I made was for, and again, I'm going to butcher these names. I apologize. It is Thurisaz. Um, the way I see it is that to me, it does look like a thorn. So most of the things that I found on it, I resonated and some I didn't resonate. So the way that I started to kind of see these symbols is as an incomplete picture. So if I see this and I know that I feel like it's a thorn, then I start to picture the rest of it. So I could definitely see a rose, I could see more thorns, I could see roses. And so in the other reverse, I just wrote down things that I would assume that will be coming from a rose. You know, they're very beautiful, but you still have to be very careful when handling a rose. You know, it could be their defense mechanism. It could be an instinct that you get that, you know, it's very beautiful, but I'm going to be careful. You know, it could be a sense of protection, having that kind of prickly shell around you. It could be a sense of protection. It could be a warning for others. The reverse meaning to this, and most of the cards, or I'm sorry, most of the, I'm such a tarot and oracle person, so I refer to the runes as cards, but the runes, some of them don't have a reversal because it's the same, you know, up, reversed or negative, it's the same symbol. But so I just made a reverse of what I think some of them are. Like for me, if the thorn is used for some kind of negativity, it's a form of malice. It's a form of, you could possibly, if you didn't have the thorns, then it's a positive defenselessness. It could be carelessness, someone being very stubborn. It could be dangerous. And so that was my symbol and the card that I created for I'm just going to call it thorn. The other one I did was, I think it's Anzus. It almost looks like a depressed F. When I started researching it, and they were saying that, you know, it kind of looks like an antenna, and I was like, yeah, you know what, it does look like an antenna. And so then I started to think to myself, you know, what's the purpose of an antenna? An antenna is, you know, to send out information and to receive information. So I thought it was actually very a good interpretation of it. So I put, you know, an antenna usually means receiving of information, communication, guidance, and signals. The reversal will be blocks, not being open to receiving those information, being tuned out, receiving bad information could be one of them, and missed signals. Sometimes we get really busy. We're in that work mentality, that tunnel vision, and we don't get to see the signals that our spiritual teams are giving us. And so usually when this one hears antenna, and if it's upside down, it must be telling you, hey, stop, check yourself. Let's go ahead and readjust, retune our, you know, internal radios and, you know, get back on track, kind of thing. And this one here is Radho. And the way that I kind of see this, as soon as I saw it, I don't know, I'm not sure if I resonated too much of what it actually means, but for me, it reminded me of the tower from the tarot. I see something like very straight, and then I see a lightning bolt come down, and so I'm associating this card, this rune, with the tarot deck when it comes to the tower card. And so for me, it represented change. It represented a sudden change, a swiftness, an impact, an action, quick decisions, possibly. The reversal for this could be a confused, you know, being confused from the swiftness of quick change, being shocked by it, possibly chaos, panic, unable to make a decision based on just being that caught off guard of, you know, this, something just happened, you know, how am I going to, you know, how am I going to get focused? Now, how am I going to be able to handle or either make a decision? So when you think like your house is burning, you know, some people get so lost on all the items that are being destroyed rather than getting themselves and their family out of the house. And so stuff like that could happen. So the reverse will be being in that panic mode, that shock of everything, and not being able to make quick and rash decisions. And so that's how this works for me. The next one I have is Kinaz, and I this reminds me of math, and I hate math. So I always remember the Pac-Mans when it's like the minus and the plus. But when I looked at this, I was like, it kind of looks like an open eye. And and then like I said, like this, you kind of have to use your imagination and creativity when you're thinking about it. So because I could picture where am I at, just an eye looking this way and being open. So the first thought that came in when I saw it was a third eye, like my third eye kind of stuff. And so I did put third eye, and so this rune will represent for me vision, knowledge, inspiration, creativity, transformation. I think I put aha moments as well. And the reversed aspect, when you're thinking about if your third eye chakra is blocked, what could happen? A lack of creativity, illusion, fogged vision, being very analytical, kind of having that tunnel vision again, not being able to see what's around you, or not having the wants or the willingness to want to see what's happening. So this card for me symbolizes the third eye, and the reversal, I guess, will be the opposite. For me, when I make the other video and how I'm going to talk about it, of how I use my runes, if one's on the side like this, or this other side like this, it just means that it's in between. It might be that you might need to either cleanse this area or be more aware of this area. Any rooms that I tend to see on its side, like kind of in the normal even playing ground, rather than it being not really positive and not really negative. It's just something to be aware of, that it could go either way. So it just depends on how you want to take advantage of that opportunity, almost like preventative maintenance. Let me get more coffee, sorry. Okay, so the next one is Wunjo. And when I looked at it, I was like, it kind of looks like a little flag on top of a castle. And so I decided to just be, what, it is a flag. And so the meanings that I felt was for this one was being proud, a declaration, joy, glory, prosperity. The reversal of a flag, if you feel like someone's bringing down the flag or it's been taken down, or sometimes, like I put high horse, someone that has that high horse syndrome, that think they are, unstoppable and all this other stuff, and then it gets all in their head. Sometimes you need to take it down a peg. It could mean a loss, a failure, having shame or defeat. If you're not proud of something, then you're shameful of something. So you don't want to wave and get the attention of people. And so this card, I think, represents that for me. It represents being proud, the time for to celebrate, to declare what it is that you love, the things that you're doing, being joyous and prosperous in life. And the reversal of it, if it's the fly falling down, it could be failure. It could mean having shame or being defeated in some kind of way. And the next one is Gebo, which is this one here. It's the X, almost like X marks the spot. When I looked at it, I didn't see an X at first. I saw two little pyramids coming together in a point, and it just kind of creating this nice little center point. And I saw the symbol of the yin and yang. And so I was like, you know what? I think this is more of a yin and yang kind of energy. So I kind of just wrote, this reminds me of yin and yang. And so it's a harmony. It's something of like a balance, a connection, coming together. It could represent a relationship for me. And of course, this one, it's the same thing upside down or reverse, whatever you want to call it. But I say, what's the downside to something like, the yin and yang? And it could be an unbalance, a disconnection, possibly a breakup if those two little pyramid points separated. If one was gone, it could be loneliness. It could be also, you could be too dependent on this other person, other little pyramid. It could just be that you can't grow in the sense if you're constantly with this other element or this other person or situation. So it's really good to use your intuition when they come up, because like I said, like with tarot and oracle, I'm very experienced with it. So I know that one card is not going to mean the same thing in every question or every reading I do. It's going to be completely different. So I feel like the runes are going to be the same. If I see something, it doesn't always going to be the yin and yang for me. It could be something like, you're very close to finding something like X marks the spot, or there's something hidden in this area you might want to work on researching a little bit more. So I think the beauty of the runics is that they're very small symbols, but with your imagination and intuition, you start creating a bigger picture out of it. Like, I don't know if you've ever played with, like, someone starts a picture, I think it was like in school, they'll draw a line and then you add a line and people add stuff to it and it creates this image. So for the next one, let's say it's I can't even pronounce it, but Hagelas, which is this one. If someone gave you this, what would you add to it to make it different? But for this card here, for me, when I was looking at it, it just looked like two things and something in the middle, and I instantly got the image of the Two of Swords in the tarot deck. And so for me, I did feel like this whatever's inside is being pressured to the point where it's shifting and about to be kind of squished, almost like the walls are closing in. That's what I felt when I saw this. So I definitely put the Two of Swords as the meaning for this symbol for me. So it's feeling like you're being stuck in the middle, not being in control of a situation, the pressure of it, loss of power, wanting to step away, feeling stifled, needing like a release of something. Sometimes you feel like you're obligated and you're stuck. Personal responsibility. It could be not taking personal responsibility or not telling someone that they need to, back away, take your own responsibility. I'm not responsible for you. These are the ones where, it's the same thing upside down as it was positive. So you kind of have to use your intuition again and kind of figure that out. Because if it was this way, then that there possibly is something to be cautious about, either saying something like the Two of Swords. It's all about, it has a very strong air element to it. So normally it's about communication and what you're saying or how you're involving yourself with to other people. It could be like some kind of what's the word I want to use? Almost like if someone's having an argument. That's what I want to say. If someone's having an argument and you're caught in the middle just because you decide to say, oh, what's going on? You give them your guidance or whatever, and now these two people are coming to you. That's how this symbol for me will probably be, is just being that like, I think I need to step away for a bit. Excuse me. This next one is very interesting, and it's Perthro. It's this one here. So as soon as I saw this, and I don't know if it's just my imagination, but I saw a woman giving birth. And so, or it could be, and so I quickly assumed that it was more about like a sexual symbol. And so I wrote, it could represent a woman or a man. And so I even drew a picture just like in my head. I was like, hold on, let me even draw it out to see if it makes sense to me. And so I drew a little person with the legs out, and it's the symbol reversed together. So it's that one there. So, I said maybe it symbolizes a birthing process of, ideas, working with your intuition, with your emotions. It could be about fertility, sexual desires, and your passions. Not necessarily has to be sexual, but it could be maybe a birthing of ideas, of going through the actual finalizations of the thing, whatever you're working, like projects or anything like that. This card could be meaning that it either has come to an end, it's finished, or it's just done. The reverse meaning for this could be, I put emotional blocks, frustrations. It could possibly be addictions if you're like a sex addict or drug addict, or it could just fall into that category as well. It could also be loneliness. Say if it was a birthing and you lost a baby, you go through depression, you go through loneliness. Infertility, if you can't get those creative ideas, or if you're working on a project and it's just not working. It could be those frustrations, those emotions coming up. And so I think that symbol kind of represent that for me. And so the next one I have is algas. I think it's algas. As soon as I saw it, I kind of was like, hey, it looks either like a chicken foot or a trident. from Poseidon. And so I was like, you know what? I don't think it's a chicken foot, but I could see it being like a trident. And so that's what I said it was. I said, okay, this looks like a trident to me. So I started looking at, okay, what would a trident represent? I put, it's very powerful. It's like a powerful tool, a symbol as well. It could mean protection. It could be warding off evil. It could represent a connection to a guardian or a connection to the gods and goddesses. Um, and the reverse meaning to this could be a loss of the divine, the loss of the divine link between the gods and goddesses. It could be vulnerability. It could be an abuse of power. You could feel abandoned if you feel like your angels are, or you feel a disconnection between your angels. You could take it into one of those paranoid minds where you feel like you're abandoned or you did something wrong, so they're not communicating with you anymore. And you could definitely feel alone in the situation. Most of the time when I think about, oh, what I want to be, if I really did have, these amazing abilities and powers, the geek in me wants to be a villain. Like I always say, like, oh, to be Poison Ivy would be amazing from Batman. I would definitely be a villain because they look like they have more fun. So I could definitely see myself abusing that power of making things grow, of, it's very easy. I think for human beings, it's very easy to abuse the power, and so it takes a lot for someone to be able to um, kind of rise above it and see their actual responsibility as the power of saying, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to either protect or to guide, and to make sure that you're always that teacher or that symbol representation for that kind of power for the people who come in. So this is what this symbol represented for me. And the next one is saw willow. And again, I'm butchering these names probably. And so this one. And to me, it does look like a lightning bolt, And then I was thinking, it's like, oh, kind of reminds me of Harry Potter, like the little thing that he had here, the lightning bolt in his forehead. And then I started to picture Zeus, and I was like, okay, I think it's more of a Zeus kind of god feel. So I call it my Zeus symbol. And I put, what does that represent to me? It represents strength, feeling chosen, almost like that symbol that Harry Potter. It was like he was chosen for something big. It's positivity. It's a great honor to be chosen in that way, to work with their higher self. It could be an alignment. The reversal, I mean, this is the one that, it's another one where it's the same thing upside down as it is upright. But again, it could be a very abusive. You could feel very weak, a dishonor. You could be doing a lot of stuff that are very destructive because of it. You could also feel entitled, like deserving, like overly deserving of things because, oh, I was chosen, and so I'm just going to take this from you. So it could be one of those kind of situations. So that's what this symbol here represented to me. So it could either be the Harry Potter symbol or Zeus of being chosen, almost like someone telling you are God in a sense, and then you having your free will and doing with whatever you will with that information. How would you go on one side and be of service, or would you abuse it in a sense like the Trident card, which I'm just gonna call it Trident rune, and just abuse that kind of power. The other one I have is Berkano, which is this one here. And I asked my fiance, I was like, what does it look like? He's like, I don't know, a letter B, boobs. I was like, oh, great. So, but when I saw it, I did see a woman's breast. I did see a woman that is pregnant. And so I just put pregnancy on the card because I could picture, the top part being a woman's breast and then their belly. And so I did put pregnancy. And again, this one symbolizes for me a birthing of something, not necessarily the final steps like the other card, but actually giving the birth. But it could be the development of that idea of that baby, of it coming. There's a newness to it. Again, it could be fertility. It could be a divine timing. It could be growth. So it's that moment where, when you think of the tarot card, the Empress, that's where you kind of go within, you see your tools, you have the space of creating all these ideas, and you're sitting there and you're allowing for those things to kind of marinate, and you're putting that intention out, and you're just waiting for to receive. And so this one that looks like a letter B, it reminds me of that waiting for things to happen, waiting for the manifestations to start coming in, trusting in the divine timing of things. The reversal of this could be a loss. It could be a bad environment for that ideas to grow. It could be very hostile, so things don't get to be strong and grow when it's a hostile environment. There could be emptiness, bad timing, stagnations. I mean, these are things that definitely affect the process and growth and development of a person. If you think about in terms of working as a team and as leadership, if the environment that you work with is terrible, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be the great leader that you can be when you're constantly hating your job, or you're hating the situation. I mean, it's just not good. Nothing good is going to come from it. So that to me will be the reversal of this card, which again would just be the opposite. The next one I have is Ewas. It almost looks like an M. So when I talked about looking at it as if someone was blocking an image, I felt like I saw a little person here and then another little person there, and they were holding hands. And so that's what I put it. I wrote down two people holding hands. And so for me, I wrote, this symbolizes trust. It could be love. It could symbolize loyalty. It could symbolize relationships, teamwork. Excuse me. And the reversal of this will be, what's the reverse side of someone holding hands? It could be a betrayal. It could be a mistrust. I wanted to put dishonesty, but I wrote disharmony, which could be true. It could be like the divorce part, which I wrote as well. Feelings, what did I write? Feelings not mutual. So if you have a love for something, but it's just not mutual, then there could be that dishonesty, that betrayal, feel abandonment. You could go through a really negative spiral when it comes to something like that. So for this, that's what this card meant for me. And you start being creative and you start imagining these things, and the next time I see it, it could remind me of something completely different. Actually, for instance, the website I was looking about the meaning for it, they said it was two horses, and I started laughing. I was like, two horses? What? I don't see two horses. And then I started looking at it. I was like, okay, so let's say that these two little points this is one horse, and they could be kissing, and then the rest of it could be their body, and then the other body, and I could see the two horses meeting in that way. And I was like, okay, I could see it. So you have to kind of play with your imagination a bit. Because if you think about it, I want to say that it was one of the oldest divination tools recorded back in the day. And so if they wanted to draw like an ox or something like that, they might just do the little V with the circle to represent something with antlers. And so that's how I interpret the runes being. They're just very small symbols so that you could kind of grow a bigger picture out of it. So the next one that I have is Manes. I don't know. I'll let you guys read it. Manes, it just looks like an M, but it also connects at the point, or you could say like two P's coming together. And this is very similar to the other card. So I still see, two people, but they're linked together, let's say by their elbow. So if they're like this, they're connected by the elbow. And then I was like, oh, it looks kind of like when you open a paper doll and they're all connected. So that's what I wrote. I wrote paper dolls. And what I looked at in my third eye, when I was seeing the connection of all these, people together, I wrote community. It could represent a community. It could represent a relationship. So being social, networking, connecting with other people. It could just be humanity, human race. The reversal to, let me see the reversals. So the reversal to this could be a lack of compassion for someone else. So it creates that being alone in a deserted island, sorry. You can be very stubborn about it. You can feel very lonely about it. people want to be like, say like, oh wow, I'm solitary, I'm a loner kind of feeling. But when you're in a community and you separate yourself so much, then you really are that loner, that person in the deserted island, because you've almost been exiled from the community. So you definitely feel very stubborn, and then frustrated, and then angry, and then you just feel resentment. So it could trickle down to something very negative. Also put closed-mindedness. So someone that isn't closed-minded isn't being a part of the team, isn't helping the community. If you think about in terms of being in a tribe, every single member of that tribe, from the highest person in the tribe to the smallest person in that tribe, all have a very important role to play for the success and the life of that tribe. So if one person is being very loner-like and doing their own thing, they're jeopardizing and risking the entire community, the entire tribe. And so normally they would, I think they would normally kill that person to ensure the safety and the life of that community and tribe. So the next one, let me get some more coffee. And I appreciate anyone that's watching. I didn't say that I was going to do this live. It's way easier for me to do a Google Hangout than sit and record and then wait 2 or 3 hours for YouTube to edit and to do all that stuff. This way, it's in there, it's raw, it's happening live, and so it's exciting. This one here is I'm gonna say Isa, and it just it looks like an eye or anything like that. When I was looking at it, I was like, okay, well, what could it mean? It could be. It looks like it could be a road, or if I'm looking it straight on, it could be like a pole. And then I envisioned someone little, like small, hanging out at the bottom and looking up at it, kind of like being like, okay, it could be that scene from Mulan where they're trying to climb that thing to get that pole to get that medal or medallion. So then I started thinking of gym class when they're making you go up that rope, and then I started feeling the anxiety of it, of feeling embarrassed, of not being able to do it, psyching yourself out. So I wrote, and this is one that, of course, you can't really reverse it. It's the same back and forth, but I wrote challenges. I wrote being nervous, kind of that standstill mentality, is like being frozen. I put ego. It could also be the I can do it kind of energy. It's like you see the obstacle, and I was like, I could totally do this, and then attempt it. It could be your attitude. Is it too negative? Are you putting yourself down? So like that, there's no way I could do that. Or it's like, yeah, I could do that. It could also be fear. And I also wrote, you're psyching yourself out. And so, I mean, these are, again, my interpretations of what these runes could mean. And the beauty of it is that even though there's books and research on it, if you don't resonate it, then don't use it. Question everything. If you feel like, I know when we're working with color therapy and colors, when I was doing the year in a day with Laura Sage, we had to sit with the colors and see how it represented and how we felt about it. So when I saw the color red, for some reason it brought a lot of anger, it brought a lot of feelings of me being bullied as a kid, and I was completely taken back of what it meant. Now when I see red, it's a power color. It represents my strength. It represents my almost my growth in a process of my confidence and stuff like that. So I know someone in one of the class said that the color pink represents sadness and anger and frustrations and a lot of emotions. And when they were asked why, they said, well, I think either the mother or someone in the family died of cancer. So pink, of course, is breast cancer awareness, stuff like that. And so that color isn't very cute to them or isn't very pretty. It reminds them of a loss. And so it's really interesting to question everything, because whatever you feel that symbolizes for you, that's what it is. It's not what the author decided to do. It's not what the book tells you. It's how you tell yourself and how you feel that this represents. Write it down, because that's the truth of it. So I definitely recommend, highly recommend questioning absolutely everything. Um, and so this next one here is the it was, I'm gonna say it was. Um, and it almost looks like an arrow going up and an arrow going down. So the witchy part of me wants to say as above, so below. And so that's what I called it. I just said, this is probably my as above, so below rune. And then I started thinking about what does that mean? And I wrote, it's enlightenment. It's having that awareness of how things work, that feeling of purpose, spirituality, that harmony, excuse me, feeling a need for guidance, a higher power. So the reversal for this could possibly be not believing, not having beliefs, a disconnection, not being aware. When you're thinking about spirituality, and you know, a lot of people, like my fiance, he doesn't really necessarily believe in the things that I believe, but he supports me in my beliefs because he knows that I'm passionate, and that he's seen that there are proofs of what I do, working with the goddess and the magic that I do. He's seen the manifestations of that. He's seen me be more happy. He's more happy. He sees that our life is abundant. So in a way, he could see the changes of my beliefs and how beautiful they are, and he sees the potential for that, but he necessarily doesn't want to practice magic himself, but he understands what it means to me, and it's a respect, and I really appreciate that. So um, for him, it could be the negative part could be, and for myself is quitting, not feeling like it's just not working the way I want it. My spells aren't working as quick as I need them, stuff like that. So there could be that negative side of enlightenment as well. So the other one I have is Jera, and it's this symbol here. It almost looks, to me, it looks like a puzzle piece, two things coming together and locking. So I wrote puzzle pieces for this one. And what I felt like what that meant was, things coming together, a completion of something. Also the universe, if you're sending it's that divine connection with the universe of, hey, you understand me, I understand you, let's work something out, let's come together and build on that relationship. I feel like that reminded me of the universe, also with divine timing. Things that could go, I guess, reverse will be bad timing, a setback in a way. It also means for me to moving forward, if I feel that things are finally completing, I no longer have to give it my energy. It's done. I can move on. So it is one of those moving forward kind of things. Trust is huge, especially when you're working with the universe and with your tribe. You have to have trust that things are being taken care of. If you feel confidently enough in yourself that like for me, if I am praying to my team, my tribe, I'm making sure that I'm being very clear in my intent. I'm being very specific on what I need and what I want, and I just project it out, and I have complete trust that it is going to be to whatever the outcome is, it's going to be towards my highest good, that's going to be in alignment with my higher purpose, what's going to bring the most healing for me. And so having that trust is very crucial, I think, in a spiritual relationship, because I just think that's important. And the last thing I wrote is just a right fit. So something that's coming together and it just feels right. And the negative aspect of that is it just could be that, it's just not matching up. It's not aligning together. There's something off about it. If it's on the side, it could just mean like, you could think if you see it like this, come here, this thing might be falling off. It's just, they're not linking together. There's something off about it. So it's really good to be aware in that kind of way. The other one I have is Novice, which is this card here. And to me, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, maybe it's an X. But I was like, no, it's kind of an angle. So it's a straight line with something in the way. So I was like, oh, kind of like a roadblock. And I was like, okay, I can see that. It's a roadblock. And so I wrote that this looked like a roadblock to me. And so I started thinking, okay, so if I have a block in my road, what does that mean? I mean, it could delay me. It could be a restriction in some kind of way. It could also represent determination of wanting to do the work and getting that roadblock out. It could be a huge lesson in patience. I always say that stoplights are my opportunity to learn patience. It's almost like I'm being forced to be patient, waiting for the other lights. And so I usually see that as a great opportunity. So this card could be an opportunity to learn something, facing one's fears. The negative side of this could be not willing to do the work, not willing to, what did I put, to move forward. If you see a block and you give up, you don't want to move forward. You don't want to do all that work to get over that hurdle. I also put a recognition. I think the most important thing you could do is recognize that there is a block. You know that you have work to do. Sometimes it's just not the right time to tackle all that work, and so you kind of put in the back burner and say, okay, I trust that when it'll come back up when it's time for me to work on it. So recognition is huge, and then it just being an obstacle is what I wrote as well. And so that's what this card represents. And this one is Fehu. It almost looked like, like a happy F, like not the other one that was a little sad. This one's a little happy and has a little perk to it. And so when I was looking at it and I started to think of what the rest of the image looked like, because it looks like there's more going on up here, there's more going on here. I started thinking of things just branching out, and I was like, oh, maybe it could be like a tree of some kind. So I just put tree branch. It looks like a tree branch to me. And so, what does a tree branch represent for me, or a tree? It could represent wealth, income, abundance, success, financial happiness in a way. When you think of something growing and being all the fruits coming out, it's like you did the hard work, now you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The reverse side of this could be a loss of that, some kind of failure, feeling like you failed in some way. When you think about I think it's a Seven of Pentacles, when that guy's looking at all the harvest and he's just not pleased with it. That could be the same thing, feeling greedy about it, of all the things that you just want to keep to yourself, possibly being burned out. You did all this work, you're pushing yourself too far, and yeah, the tree's growing beautifully, but you're not enjoying it because you're just completely burned out. It can also represent a lack of abundance. So if you're being negative minded, you're attracting those negative things. If you feel that lack energy, you will attract more lack of things in that sense. So this one definitely represents a tree branch. So the reversal would just be, sad tree. There's only a few cards, 5 more cards or runes left. This one is Uruz. And at first I was like, okay, maybe it could be about foundation because it looks like a little house. But then I was like, well, no, for me, foundation, I have to see a perfect square or a cube in a sense. So I was like, okay, what else could it mean? When I was reading it, said it could be like an ox or a very strong animal. And I was like, I totally see that now. So I could see the head, the antlers, the little tail here. So I was like, okay, it could be a strong ox. So I agree with that. So I wrote strong ox and I tried to do my best little drawing of something. So to me, that represents stability. It represents strength. If you see a huge ox and you just look at its face, there's wisdom there, there's knowledge, there's courage. I felt for me that it meant for me to stand my ground, to speak my truth. The negative of this would be weakness. It could be inconsistency, someone that's a hypocrite. Being unstable, and I put timid. So if you see a very weak animal, means it's lacking nourishment, it's lacking that confidence. So there's either a lot of healing that has to happen. There has to be some kind of process to get that. Let's say if we're talking about an animal, to get the animal back to life, back to a good health, so it can feel strong and confident and ready to handle and tackle any other challenges. So that's what this one represented for me. The Laguz, which is this one here, and this is another one where I had to kind of look at it and try to complete the image, because what did it say it was? I think it said something about water. I think this represented water and a leak. And when I looked at it, I was like, no, it kind of looks like an arrow split in half. So I just wrote arrow. And what that symbolized of someone shooting an arrow, what would that be? And so I wrote something that's moving forward very quickly, like a quick action kind of thing. I wrote setting intentions. If you're sending something out, you want to hit a specific target. So you're sending out that energy. I also put a destination, a goal. It's going to go somewhere. That arrow's going to hit. You know, it's being very mindful. So if you feel, if when you see someone that is shooting an arrow, that person in their head is intentionally conscious of what they're doing and where they want it to go, whether it is to hit a specific target. So that's how I saw this card. The reversal could be a quick decline. So if you just shoot it straight, it's going to come even faster downward. You know, not moving in a sense. If you know you're struggling shooting, it just keeps falling. It could be something just not working out. It's not moving. You feel stuck, still. I also put, you could also be unmotivated in a sense where it just kind of just falls kind of weak. I put being in a rut. So the reason I put being in a rut is because if I'm struggling with shooting an arrow and I'm just frustrated, I'm just going to give up. I feel like I'm, you know, that negative spiral starts happening and you're in your head. As Marie Forleo said, you're listening to crap radio. Like it's just like you crap about you all the time, 24/7. You know, it's time to change the station kind of thing. The other card I have is Ingwas, which is this one here. It almost just looks like a cube on its point. To me, this is what I was talking about, foundation. When I see something like this that's perfect, like square, symmetric, to me that represents a home, it represents foundation. So that's what I wrote. I wrote foundation, I wrote home, I wrote ethics, beliefs, I wrote foundations again, I wrote virtue, the reversal, and I guess it's another card that you can't really reverse, but if there was any negative side of this, it could be not having common sense about something, feeling very weak, no beliefs, a lack of morals. I also put easy to crumble. So if you think about like it has a very weak foundation, the moment someone hits it with something, it's going to crumble. You're going to be shocked. So I felt like this in my early on spirituality, especially when someone asked me, you know, what kind of, you know, like I blogged about it a while ago, when they asked me, you know, oh, so you're a witch, what does that mean? That not knowing myself and having to answer to that really just destroyed that false structure that I built because the foundation wasn't strong enough. And I had to really go back and answer that question to myself over and over again. What does being a witch mean to me? How do I live my life? You know, what if someone asks me this? How do I respond to that? And so for me, it was very important for me to sit down, figure out how I really felt, and put that into words for someone to understand. Not in the sense that I wanted to convince somebody that I am better than them because I have a higher awareness. That's not the point. It was more just for me to be able to communicate. It was unblocking those major blocks in my throat chakra that I had. So I found that very important in that rune. So we only have two more to go. This one is Degas, which is this one here. They just, to me, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's the infinite symbol. It looks like an infinite symbol to me. So I wrote infinity. And what that means to me, excuse me, I wrote, you know, ebbs and flows, excuse me. I wrote cycles, I wrote growth, I wrote, you know, releasing something. So if you're growing and you're releasing, you're moving, it's flowing, it's infinite. It's, when you think about our journeys, when we feel like, oh, I thought I learned about this, why is it coming, or I feel like I already released this, why is it coming up? We never fully release something. We are able to work on it and heal to a point where we don't have to constantly keep it in our you know, infinite circle. It could move aside, but eventually if something comes up, it'll trigger it and it'll come back into the flow of things. It's just what we signed up for in this human existence. We're constantly learning, we're constantly being students, we're constantly being teachers. So that's what this represented to me, is that constantly working on our spirituality and always wanting to grow and learn and grow and learn, and then teach. And so it's one of those moving things. So the reverse side to this would be, you know, being in a negative cycle. It's going to be the same thing. You're just constantly beating yourself up, you're constantly speaking negative, and it's an ongoing thing. Feeling stress, I put anxiety over a lack of change. And so that, to me, definitely happens. I get anxiety when I feel like everything's the same. And so I normally go through I got to move all my decor around in my home. I got to move my office around. I need to create that movement of energy. I want to raise that energy because sometimes you do feel stifled, and you feel that staggered energy, and moving things around causes the things to come back to life, to vibrate. So that's how I feel sometimes. So if I feel that anxiety that I need change, I know that I have to kind of figure out what that is and what exactly it is that I need, and then do it, because then I could get into, me being a bitch. So the other card the last rune is Othala, which is this one here, and it almost looks like there's a point, then there's two paths that come through it. They move away from each other, but then at one point they come back, and then they meet one more time and then separate. So for me, when I think of that, it's very symbolic when I was looking at it. But then I also looked at it, and it reminds me of awareness of people that come into our life and people that go. It's a constant meet and farewell kind of thing. I also kind of saw it as a ribbon when it comes to the actual awareness. Like, we wear ribbons, for a blue ribbon for autism, pink for breast cancer awareness. So that's why I made it look like a ribbon, and I put awareness. So to me, this means, it's a time to celebrate, to honor ourselves, to honor our journey of crossing paths, of connecting, seeing the opportunity of those. When the way angels work with me is when I ask for something, sometimes I don't receive it in a message. I don't receive it in, one of those things where I'm working on it. Sometimes it comes to me in a person that's going through exactly the same thing as I am, and our paths meet, and we work together, we help each other move, and then when it's time, we kind of separate and go our own ways. So that's what this card represents. So the negative side of that could be being blind to those opportunities, being self-abusive in your journey. I also put missed opportunities. I put depression, and falling in the what if syndrome, the kind of like, what if I did this more? What if I was more intelligent? What if I was skinnier? That mentality really causes you to not move at all. You're stuck at this point here. So that's what I kind of felt like. If I'm blind to the fact that I'm not seeing the path that I'm creating, and I'm just kind of walking randomly, I'm way over here, rather than the path that I originally designed for me. And so that's what this one is. So if I see it reversed, that means that I need to focus, gather all my stuff, and just figure out, okay, so what's the solution here? How can I move forward? How can I see myself from where I'm at now to where I want to be? And so that's how I figure what this is. And so, like I said, I don't think I'm going to actually memorize the actual names for them. I'm just going to look at the symbol, and I'm going to know what that represents to me. So I think that's it. I'm out of runes. I did notice that they do, most of the newer runic divination things come with a blank one. I've heard that it didn't have a purpose back in the day, and I don't think it has a purpose now. Besides, in case you lose a rune, that you could always just make your own on that blank one. So I actually resonate with that. I don't feel like that blank rune serves a purpose other than in case you lose one, you have another piece to kind of make your own. So I'm super excited to hear what you guys think of my study method. Today I get to get my hematite runes. I'm really excited about, and so I'm going to cleanse them. So the video that I'll do tonight will be about kind of cleansing my tools and how I prepare to actually use it. And then tomorrow I'll actually go through how I'm actually gonna cast something, and we'll do a reading. And so, don't judge me because I'm not that skilled at rune reading, but we'll learn together. So thank you guys for watching. For those that are watching now, for those that are gonna watch it later, if you like it, I really appreciate a like on my YouTube, a share. That would make me super happy. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Blessed be. Bye.